Good morning and welcome to Today in LA. I'm Bill Rice Jr. I'm joined by Coach Forrest Lee. Mike Amos is in South Carolina visiting with his brother, so I don't know if he's going to call in or not. And his son Michael usually calls in about 7:08. Good morning, Forrest.
Good morning, Big Bill. Today's the third day of February. It's Thursday. A lot of schools are wrapping up their high school regular season, and the playoff. The area playoffs start next week, and we'll talk more about that. I've got some of the local schedules, but I do want to mention I saw where Carrie Rice was named Teacher of the Year for Charles Simpson High School, and congratulations to her and you and her family.
She was touched and honored, and we certainly appreciate the recognition. It's well deserved, in my opinion.
What subject?
She teaches English.
She's an English teacher.
I think she's got. It changes year to year. It's usually 10th and 11th grade, so I think that's what it still is. Mostly 10th graders this year.
Yeah, she seems. When I see some of her posts and all that, I know the kids love her, and she does a wonderful job. And again, congratulations to Carrie Rice, the Charles Simpson High School Teacher of the Year. Have you ever heard the expression, the day the music died, and what it refers to?
Well, it's when the death of some great rocker.
Well, it says on February the 3rd, 1959, American rock and roll musicians Buddy Holly, Ritchie Valens, and the Big Bopper, J.P. Richardson, were killed in a plane crash near Clear Lake, Iowa, together with pilot Roger Peterson. This event came known as the day the music died after singer-songwriter Don McLean. He referred to this crash in 1971 in his song, American Pie.
Great song.
Waylon Jennings was a member of that band.
Okay.
And Waylon Jennings gave his seat up to Richardson, who was sick.
Oh.
They were having trouble with their bus. They were getting these old school buses not fit for kids to ride. They were getting a bus, and it was a terrific storm, snow, a lot of snow in that area. One of the band members, one of the drummers, had to be hospitalized for frostbite after a bus broke down, so they'd get another bus. It'd break down. Well, they decided to rent a plane. Well, Waylon Jennings gave his seat up to someone who was sick, and Ritchie Valens and another member of the band flipped a coin to see who would be on the plane. Ritchie Valens won the coin toss, and Valens,
the quirks of fate.
His wife was pregnant, and she later miscarried, after being so distraught, after her husband passed away.
How many people died on the plane?
I think there were a total of 4. Buddy Holly.
It was a little plane then.
Ritchie Valens, the Big Bopper, J.P. Richardson, and the pilot, Roger Peterson. I don't know what kind of plane it is.
There have been a lot of rock musicians, or a pretty good number of rock musicians who've died in plane crashes.
Yeah, let's see, Jim Croce.
Yes, I forgot about him.
How did John Denver pass away?
Well, he died in a plane crash.
Patsy Cline.
Leonard's who's
Beechcraft Bonanza plane.
It's a Beechcraft Bonanza plane. Yeah, and that pilot I think was like 21 years old.
Who was the front man of Leonard Skinner? Ronnie Van Zant, or several members of the Leonard Skinner party died in a plane crash, but most survived, amazingly.
Let me tell you a story about Clint Eastwood. When he was in the service, you could do space availability. You could hop for free if it was a military plane. And Clint Eastwood went somewhere on the West Coast, and he hopped a plane with a pilot, and it was just, I think, a 2-seater or whatever. Well, the plane went down in the Pacific Ocean. And Clint Eastwood swam over 1 mile to safety.
Gosh.
Clint Eastwood. There's a story about that. I read it in an article one time, but I don't know all the details. But he was in the service. I think it was the United States Army at the time. But he had hopped a flight on a weekend that he was off and swam to safety.
Well, that's something about Waylon Jennings. I mean, could have easily been on the, and then he later produced some great country music. He was one of the great outlaws of country music.
Who was a big bopper? Chantilly lace
I think
and a
so,
ponytail. And Buddy Holly had those black rim glasses. You know, they were all young. I think they were under the age of 24, all of them.
Well, let's say some other famous people that died in plane crashes. Newt Rockney, didn't he die in a plane crash?
Yeah, I'm not real sure.
Coach Newt Rockney, no telling how many wins he would have gotten if he didn't die. Kobe Bryant died in a helicopter crash.
Well, was it Davey Allison, the NASCAR?
He died.
He died in a helicopter crash. Well, just think about the story of Jack Roush.
John F. Kennedy Jr.
Jack Roush has survived 2 plane crashes here in Troy, Alabama. Do you remember that story?
I wrote it.
Okay, well, Jack Roush, clipped a power line? Go ahead and explain that because you were the writer. You know about it.
Well, it's the retired game warden that we just lost that lived in
Larry Hicks.
That lived in Palos Verdes Estate. Larry happened to be at home. He was recovering from cancer treatments. That's why he was at home. And he had the first house or second house on the left going into Palos Verdes Estates. And he was there watching the WSFA news when Mr. Roush's plane crashed into the pond out there.
Bart Snyder and I rode with Larry. He was waiting on his brother from Montgomery to come fishing. He had his boat on the ramp.
Well, he had a little fishing boat. Okay. And then he had been in the Marines or military, and he had actually been trained in combat rescue planes down. So he knew what to do. So he got in his boat and went out to where Mr. Roush's experimental plane crashed and dove down there twice. I think he had to die. He was already underwater. Got him out, cut the seatbelt off somehow, pulled him up, did mouth to mouth with him, on him, got him in the boat, took him back to the shore. He actually told me that the stopper in his boat was not in, so his boat started to sink as he went back to his house, but he made it. And he saved, Mr. Roush was minutes from death, and Larry saved Jack Roush. And the postscript of the story is they became great friends after that near tragedy.
Mr. Hicks told me that he would, Jack Roush would call him several holidays. You know, if it was a big holiday and a lot of family was around, he would be very emotional. You know, thinking, hey, I would not be here.
Well,
with my family.
He went to all kind of races and became friends with him. And after I heard, you know, what a class guy Mr. Roush was, I became a huge fan of the Jack Roush racing team, which was the premier best NASCAR racing team for many years. Still might be, but you know, at one time Jack Roush had about 5 drivers, and they were all top 10 type drivers.
You know, Larry Hicks told me one time that.
Guten Morgen.
What is this? Hey, Michael.
We're talking about the time that Larry Hicks here in Troy saved Jack Roush after his plane crash in the Palos Verdes. This the big lake between Palos Verdes and Pike Pioneer Museum. I wrote.
Yeah, I remember that story.
I wrote a story in the Troy Citizen a couple of years after the event happened. Kind of retold the story and then talked about how Mr. Roush and Larry became great friends. But what got started on that was, of all things, we were talking about plane crashes, and the day the music died, we were talking about all the musicians and famous people who have died in airplane crashes.
Well, today in 1959 is when Buddy Holly, the Big Bopper, J.P. Richardson, and Richie Valens died in a plane crash in a cornfield near Clear Lake, Iowa, on today's date. It was, that's how it kind of all came up.
Yeah,
Dad liked Ricky Nelson a lot. I know Ricky Nelson died at a plane crash in Guntersville, Alabama, didn't he?
See, I didn't think of him.
Yeah, there's
It's been a lot. I mean, some of the other ones I'm thinking of is the
You sing, well, hello, Mary Lou.
yeah.
Goodbye.
The bizarre plane crash of Payne Stewart and his agent Robert Fraley, that had been a quarterback at Alabama. That comes to mind too. That plane.
Yeah.
They apparently what happened.
Was probably the worst, wasn't it?
Huh?
Leonard Skinner was probably the worst.
Yeah, we talked about that. What was the front man for Leonard Skinner? His last name's Van Zant.
It was Ronnie Van Zant.
Yeah, man, he was great. What a great man. But you know, I think only 3 or 4 or 5 people died in that plane crash, and most of the party, I think they crashed in a swamp, and somehow most of them survived.
Yeah, the Blackwood brothers had the Barkeys, Leonard Skinner, let's see, lead vocalist Ronnie Van Zant, guitarist Steve Gaines, and backup singer Casey Gaines passed away in that one. Reba McEntire's band, she lost several people. I think they went on 2 or 3 different planes, but she lost several members in 1991.
Leroy Brown, Jim Croce.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he also has You Don't Mess Around with Jim. Where was Jim from? You don't spit into the wind, you don't pull the mask of the old Lone Ranger, and you don't mess around with Jim. Who was the guy that
Then Rocky Mountain High, Colorado, John Denver died in a plane crash.
you know, some people speculate that was a suicide.
Jim Croce was born in South Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Born in 1943, he died when he was 30 years old in Natchitoches, Louisiana. Is that how you pronounce
Jim
it?
Croce?
Yeah.
You know, and his career was just hitting really, really big when that happened. But that song I was referencing, I like it better than Bad Bad Leroy Brown. Don't Mess Around with Jim. I like it because the key line in there is out of South Alabama comes the country boy.
And I'm looking for a man named Slim.
You know,
I'm a bull shooting boy. My name is Willie McCoy, but back at home they call me Slim.
Davey Allison died in a tragic helicopter accident.
No, and Kobe Bryant affected so many people. My daughter Maggie, for some reason, to this day is still disturbed by that, because Kobe Bryant's sweet little daughter was on the helicopter with him.
Said Rocky Marciano died in a plane crash. Otis Redding.
I want to go. I was wanting to go and get my pilot's license. I don't think that's gonna happen now.
Well, the pilots know what they're doing. I mean, seems that weather is involved in a lot of don't fly in bad weather. John F. Kennedy Jr. was a novice pilot, and he wanted to fly at night. Don't fly at night. I know that, one of my pilots I know best is Mr. Murphy, Tom Murphy, great pilot. You would never worry about flying on him. But I remember talking to him. He said, don't fly at night. You have instruments and.
How about?
So John F. Kennedy did fly at night, and he got lost and disoriented, and with his bride flying over the ocean to some island. And
the baseball player who was taking supplies to I think his country had been hit by tragedy. He played for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Roberto Clemente
Died December the 31st, 1972. He ended up with 3,000 hits in his career.
Yeah.
Even 3,000.
Of
course, John F. Kennedy, Audie Murphy.
No, I didn't know that.
That's what I'm reading. Of course,
war hero and actor, Audie Murphy.
Carol Lombard. Let's see if I'm just going.
So what did you do? You just Googled celebrities died in plane crashes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm just looking at.
Looks like Troy's added about 5 more guys to their 2022 football signing class. You can mention that as well.
Yeah, I think Alabama signed just a grand total of 1. I don't know if Auburn added anybody else or not.
Yeah. Well, here's the finish.
Yeah, Troy.
Go ahead. Here's the finish. I got this is from rivals, and most of them are the same. A&M was 1. Alabama finished 2nd. Georgia 3. Ohio State 4. Texas 5. Notre Dame 6. Number 7, Penn State. 8, Oklahoma. 9, Michigan. 10, Clemson. For the Southeastern Conference, Tennessee, they have it number 12. Kentucky 13.
Wow.
LSU 14. Mississippi State 16. Missouri 17. Auburn 18. Florida at 24. South Carolina at 25. Arkansas at 26. Ole Miss at 27. Vandy at 32. And but I read where Ole Miss is getting like 11 transfers.
Yeah, that's what you got to do nowadays. Is you got to forget the high school kids. Let's look at the transfer portal. Like you said, LSU was 14, which is real low for them. But then somebody told me that they have been racking up in the transfer portal already.
Yeah, I think Troy this year, they already were close to 85 scholarships when head coach Summerall. So Troy was very limited on who they could sign. They signed Jeremiah Fraser, offensive lineman out of Pike Road. We mentioned he transferred in from Tennessee State. Another guy that they got to transfer in was Ray J. Johnson, 6'4", 215-pound wide receiver who transferred in from UAB. So he's a big physical wide receiver. I think he had 400 yards receiving last year, which is good. Then Troy went to Georgia Military and got a guy, Daniel King, offensive lineman, 6'5", 295. Both him and Frazier will have 3 years more to play at Troy. And then they got a kid yesterday, Nasir Poe, which is Al Poe, the secondary coach of Troy's son. He's been on all those great Auburn high school teams the last 2 years. He's a big cornerback, 6'2", 170. His dad was all conference when he played at Alabama State. Coach Poe was, but now Coach Poe will actually coach his son.
Wow.
So, he's got to be excited. And then, interesting here, this guy was all conference in the Southern Conference, played at Sanford. Big tight end Troy got to transfer from Sanford. Michael Weiss, 6'4", 253, from Vestavia Hills High School at Birmingham, is also going to be a Troy Trojan.
Well, saw too where Wicksburg's had a kid by the name of Bo Sellers, 6'3", 300 pounds, is coming to Troy University. He played at Wicksburg, 6'3",
Good.
300.
I like these Wiregrass players coming to Troy.
Bo
So
Sellers.
is he going to be on scholarship or is he going to be like a preferred walk-on?
Well, it says Wicksburg offensive lineman Bo Sellers made numerous visits to college campuses during the recruiting process, but he has chosen Troy University. It doesn't say.
Yeah, maybe he'll be added today because
Preferred walk-on.
Yeah, we read a few days ago they had signed some guy named Tay Meadows, some running back out of Hanley that rushed for like 1,600 yards, but I don't see him listed from yesterday.
Well, see, he signed his paperwork yesterday, and to attend as a Troy preferred walk-on. And,
Well, good. He looks like a big old boy. These preferred walk-ons that are especially offensive linemen. Sometimes it takes a couple of years for an offensive lineman to really develop. There's been some great ones that started off as walk-ons.
yeah, can you imagine?
See what the offensive line coach is coming from New England Patriots, Popovich, assistant offensive line coach for 6 years in the NFL. I mean, that's like any offensive lineman in the country would want to play for that guy. He knows how to get you to the next level.
Yep.
Auburn's coaching staff is just, it's like you walk up on a covey of quail. They're, and...
Well, let's talk about the Auburn basketball team. Forget the football team.
Yeah, they're rocking and rolling. I think this may come back to haunt them, though. I don't know. That's okay if they do that. I don't care.
Alabama can't beat them.
Yeah. Well, on a given night,
Alabama could play them 10 times. They ain't going to beat those guys.
Just never know. But anyway, it's going to be interesting to see, especially come tournament time. Auburn will probably be one of the top, maybe the top seed, if not,
Right now,
top
they
four.
would be the top seed in the country. Number 1 seed. So that should guarantee you the first 2 wins against teams you can handle. But then, it gets interesting after that in this tournament. Anybody can beat anybody on a given
And there
day.
again, they're better because of the transfer portal.
Exactly. Michael's pointed it out that
I mean, they're just
the
better.
core of their roster comes from the transfer portal.
They got one from North Carolina, didn't they? And one from where'd that big
Georgia,
tall?
one
Georgia,
from some smaller school.
Yeah, they got two guards, one from College of Charleston, and then one from Eastern Kentucky. And then they got a shooting guard, Katie Johnson from Georgia. The big guy, the 7'1" guy, Kessler from North Carolina. And then they got one other transfer I'm drawing a blank on. But yeah, they most of their really great players are transfers.
That's common at many programs. You know, that's been common in basketball actually for about 10, 15 years, really, when you think about it.
One of Alabama's best players, Devon Quinterly, is a transfer from Villanova, but he had to sit out a whole year.
That's right, yeah.
He didn't get to play right away.
Yeah. Alabama's got several transfers if you looked at them. I can just remember. I hope the viewers enjoyed it yesterday. We were talking about the best players at Alabama and Auburn basketball history, and I remember a lot of these guys, but I can remember them because they stayed for 4 years, and I could picture them when they were freshmen, and you could say, yeah, they're pretty good. You know, they're making a little contribution. Then they'd make a big jump their sophomore year, and by the time they were seniors, they were really, really good. But you don't see those players anymore that are at one place for 4 years.
Yeah,
Some of them were 5 years, like Jim Farmer. He was redshirted and was there for 5 years.
Auburn's roster is littered with people from Georgia, the state of Georgia. They got one kid, I don't think plays much. He's from Nigeria. This Berman kid's from Birmingham. Cambridge is from Nashville, Tennessee. Cardwell's from Augusta, Georgia. Preston Cook's from Auburn. Cressman's from Greensboro, North Carolina. Flanagan's from Arkansas. Green's from Michigan. Jasper's from Georgia, Augusta. K.D. Johnson's from Atlanta. Kessler is from Noonan, Georgia. Leopard is from Athens, Alabama. Mace Dorp is from Florida. Moore is from Arkansas. Jabari Smith is from Fayetteville, Georgia. Sabora is from Alabama, Birmingham. Whitmore comes from Dunwoody, Georgia, and Jalen Williams comes from Nahunta, Georgia.
So there's three on the roster from the state of Alabama, and then about something like 7 or so from Georgia.
And some of the stud buckets are from Georgia.
Well, Georgia has got twice the population of Alabama at least. Better facilities and more money in athletics, and probably better coaches. Mm-hmm. Same in football. Yeah, Georgia's where it's happening.
Mm-hmm. It's a hotbed.
But Auburn has always done well in Georgia in all sports. I mean, heck, Auburn's practically in Georgia. A lot of people in the nation probably think Auburn is in Georgia.
Yeah, I never paid attention to Eastern Time, but then I was working over in Apalachicola yesterday, and I was on the plate for my meeting, so I forgot it was on Eastern Time.
Oh, yeah. Lynette, Alabama is on Eastern Time.
You forget how Florida changes. It's really right on the Panama City Beach line, kind of, right around. I saw the damage from the hurricane for the first time, Hurricane Michael, that damaged Mexico Beach and Tyndall Air Force Base and all that area down there. Man, it is just unbelievable to see, even 3 years later.
Oh.
I couldn't believe it.
Wow. So think about if that hurricane would have moved over a couple of miles west, what it would have done.
Oh, yeah. It would have been devastating. I mean, I couldn't believe all the trees and all the buildings that were still destroyed. Mexico Beach, I mean, if anybody wanting some prime property, my goodness, they have lots just everywhere right near the beach. They were just sitting empty.
Interesting. Well, that's a good update. All right, well, let's give our sponsors a commercial break, and then we'll go get some more coffee, and then we'll look at Forrest's list, and we'll change topics. So if you get bored by what we're talking about right now, don't worry, we're gonna change topics. All right, we'll
be right back.
The Walmart Distribution Center in Brundage is now hiring. We've extended our $2,000 signing bonus until the end of January 2022. And you can go back to school with our Live Better You program. Apply online today.
Our community is the driving force behind our stores. Our commitment to you has been our #1 priority for over 30 years. Whether it is providing quality, fresh, local, and affordable products or aiding local schools, churches, and charities, Piggly Wiggly is here for you.
I wish you could taste how much better food tastes when cooked on a Green Mountain grill. But I can let you in on the reason that's true. Our pellets contain water, so they create steam while you cook, keeping your food moist. Does a gas or charcoal grill do that? I think not.
Come and see us at Southern Grill and Patio, just off the square in Troy.
Troy Cable Security Wi-Fi doorbell camera allows you to answer the door from your smartphone when you are at home, at work, or on the go. When a visitor presses the button, Troy Cable Security sends a live video feed to your smartphone, so you can see, hear, and speak to the person at your door. With the doorbell camera, you can have your porch light turn on automatically when it detects motion at night to create the appearance that someone is at home. You can view video clips so you can always know who stopped by when you are out. Troy Cable Security. You love them, protect them.
Life is hectic enough without worrying if your lights will stay on or if there's hot water for your child's bath. So count on natural gas to keep the energy flowing, even when the weather is unpredictable. Natural gas is always there to keep your home warm, showers hot, and food cooked to perfection. That's why America has relied on safe and affordable natural gas for more than 150 years. And we will be here for you and future generations too. You can count on natural gas from Southeast Alabama Gas District.
I got the top 10 in basketball. Yeah, I got one. I got one. I gave you one. I got one. We're back.
Okay, I was looking at the Dothan Eagle about the local athletes who have signed scholarships. Looks like there's quite a few. I know one of them is coming to Troy to be quarterback.
Oh yeah, Kilcrease, Tucker Kilcrease signed yesterday at Brantley from Brantley High School. Wonderful family. As you kind of look at that, in high school basketball, the rankings are out before the playoffs begin. The area play starts next week. Locally, in girls, GW Long in 2A, they're ranked number 6. For the boys, in 7A, Enterprise is ranked number 5. Fall is ranked number 5 in 6A. In 5A, Charles Henderson boys are ranked number 4 with a 19-5 record. They'll play this Friday night against Pike County at home.
Good.
Last regular season game. I read today where Carroll of Ozark won their area. They're 21-7. They're ranked number 7 in 5A.
Yeah, and Will told us yesterday that they have got a star player that's been injured that is now back.
And there you go. Opp is ranked number 7 in 3A. In 2A, locally, Ayrton is ranked number 6 with a 20-4 record.
Good, Ayrton.
And Brantley is number 5 in 1A. In the Alabama Independent School Association, last Friday, Pike Liberal Arts lost to Autauga Academy. Autauga Academy is a 2A school. They're 15-0. They're right there on the outskirts of Prattville. They picked up some players from Prattville, and that
was it a competitive game?
Yeah, it was a competitive game. They lost by 3. I think it was like 63.
Where was it? Was it played
there?
Up there?
There in Autauga. Right. So Pike Liberal Arts is.
Who got beat? Pike Liberal Arts got beat?
Yeah, they lost to Autauga Academy, and Autauga Academy has some good players. I mean, they're right there.
Yeah, but it won't matter because Autauga Academy is 2A.
No, that was regular season. Now I've got the playoffs.
Yeah, I know, but I mean in the state championship where they wouldn't play because they're
No.
a 2A program.
No, that's correct.
Still, if I'm stunned that anybody in the AISA could beat Pike Liberal Arts, but I guess if anybody would be, it would be those guys.
Yeah. Now in the playoffs for the state championship next week, or in the Elite 8, there are 10 girls vying for the state championship. Pike Liberal Arts will play the girls on Thursday. Will play the winner of Clark Prep and Russell Christian. The boys also will play on Thursday. The girls will play at 6 o'clock next Thursday. The boys will play at 7:30. They'll play the winner of Monroe and Russell Christian as well. So if you win Thursday night, you play Saturday. If you win Saturday, the state championship will be next Monday night.
It's the Final Four in Montgomery?
Yes, it's at the multiplex there at Crampton Bow.
Used to have it at Huntington for years.
Now, for girls area play, the Charles Henderson girls finished second in their area to Greenville. The girls will play on the 7th, which is Monday, against Andalusia in Greenville. Tip off at 5:30. Also local, the Carroll girls will play Rehoboth in Headland. The Carroll girls finished second. In 2A, Luverne's the top seed in Area 5. Highland Home and Calhoun will play in Luverne. And then the championship game will be Thursday. The winner of those two teams will play Luverne.
When's the Charles Simpson boys get started?
They'll play Thursday. I think I'm coming to the boys here real quick.
Are they still ranked number 2?
4.
They're number 4. The boys are.
Have they lost again?
I think they're 19-4, 19-5. They're ranked number 4, I believe, in 5A.
Dad must have gave us the wrong information. He had them ranked 2 one day.
Yeah. Well, in boys, Charles Henderson is the area champion in boys. Greenville and Andalusia will play Tuesday. The winner of that game will play Charles Henderson boys at 6 o'clock next Thursday at Betty Wagner Gym. And also in Area 3, we have several local teams. Opp and Goshen will play at Opp on Tuesday. Pike County is also in that area. They'll play New Brockton. Pike County boys are the number 2 team in that area, and the winner will play that following Thursday. One thing to mention, when you go to the area play, if you're in the area championship game, win or lose, you will advance one more round.
Oh, okay.
The winner will host the next round. If you lose your area championship, you will go to a number 1 seed or an area champion. Yeah, and I don't know how all that aligns. So there's a lot of basketball.
So if you won your area, you're guaranteed to make it to the second round.
Yes, if you win your area.
Yeah.
And if you lose your area, you advance, and then it's one loss. You go home, and so that's coming up.
Well, these are pressure games when it gets to playoff basketball. The Troy basketball team, the Troy men and the women, it really comes down to how you do in one tournament. I mean, we get excited about the regular season, but it's you could win your regular season.
And how you get hot.
Well, you win the regular season in the Sun Belt and still not get a bid to the big dance.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you're guaranteed if you win your conference championship regular season to at least get to go to the NIT, which most of those games are on ESPN, and a postseason tournament for Troy in basketball would be great either way.
Yep. Well, tonight, Troy University men will play at Georgia State, tip-off at 6. I think
Extremely tough place to play.
And they're 14-7, and then on Saturday, the men will play at Georgia Southern at a 3 o'clock tip. And I guess the girls, I was in the process of looking up their schedule, they're probably playing at home.
They play South Alabama Saturday. They're really promoting that game. Mike gave me tickets and all kind of fun promotions for the women playing South Alabama Saturday. So look that up and go support the Lady Trojans if you can. Also on Saturday they have an event supporting or promoting the softball team. Where kids can go out and meet and hang out with the softball players and get all kind of goodies. So there's a lot going on Saturday.
Yeah, the girls are 16-7. They will play. Let me scroll down. Let me find it real quick. I'm almost right there.
It still bothers me that
they'll play Saturday. That tip is 4 o'clock against Georgia.
Troy had an excellent chance to upset the number 1 or number 2 seed in the NCAA tournament last year. Got a bad call,
Texas
Texas
A&M.
A&M.
Yeah. That could have been one of the biggest wins in Troy sports history. Oh, well.
Probably would have been.
They actually got two bad calls from what I was there watching the game. You know, interesting how Vegas does lines. You would never think that Georgia State 8-9, so they've had COVID issues, obviously. If they've only played 17 games, Troy's played 21 games. So Troy travels to Georgia State to play in Atlanta tonight. But this is how much Vegas loves Troy. Georgia State 8-9 against 14-7 Troy. Georgia State's a 6-point favorite.
Mm.
So they'll tell you what they think about Georgia State's program.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, Troy's got two big games in Georgia. Troy sweeps them and then gets back home. Troy ought to be in the running for the regular season title and certainly get themselves a good seed in the all-important tournament. I know if you win the tournament, you get a bid. And so
yeah, I mean, if you win the conference tournament, you're going to the NCAA tournament. Unfortunately, you know, the Sun Belt's a one-bid league. But they are saying in Conference USA, UAB has such a good team and strength of schedule and, you know, big wins out of conference. The UAB, even if they didn't win their conference tournament, has a great chance to make the NCAA tournament. That Conference USA might get two this year. So that means Alabama would go to the big dance, UAB would go to the big dance. Auburn, of course, is going to the big dance, and there's an outside chance South Alabama or Troy might could go.
Yep, that's right. Wouldn't that be something?
I was trying to pull up the record of the Sun Belt. I can't pull it up.
I remember back in the Sonny Smith days, and he was on our show not too long ago. You would have Alabama and Auburn in the NCAA tournament, and UAB and South Alabama, 4 teams in the state of Alabama in the tournament. That's back when the tournament probably only had 48 or 6, fewer teams.
Let's see.
Yeah, Forrest Lee went to South Alabama. Were you at South Alabama, Forrest, when they had the good basketball team?
I did. Terry Catledge, Catfish.
Yeah, I remember.
He was there, and the coach was I can't think of his
the country
name.
music singer coach that we all are friends of.
I don't know if he was there at that time, but anyhow,
Cliff
I
Ellis?
remember Terry.
Might have been Ronnie Yarrow was coach then.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. But I was there and I saw a baseball game when Mississippi State rolled in and didn't know it at the time, but I saw Palmero and Clark play. Didn't know what I was
South
watching.
Alabama played them tough, didn't they?
I can't remember the score, but
called Thunder and Lightning.
Thunder and Lightning.
South Alabama had a former major league great that was their coach for a long time.
His name was Eddie Stanky.
Eddie Stanky. They had really, really good baseball programs. I briefly lived in Mobile. And my mom was funny. Just this housewife that loved working the New York Times crossword puzzles, but she was a big sports fan. And I can remember she took us to several South Alabama baseball games when we lived in Mobile because Eddie Sankey was their coach. Then later, when we got to Troy, she of course went to all the Chase Riddle games that she could, and her father, Hickey Chapman, really loved going to those games. He was part of the mafia that went to those games. But Mom even got in the track and field. And I saw Doc Anderson out in front of his yard the other day, and he was the track coach and the trainer, and he got her, found out about my mother being a sports fan, and he would get her to come to the press box and score the track meets. You need somebody up there you've probably done it before.
Not track, but I've been there before.
It takes a lot, but so we went, and I would tag along with my mom, so we went to a lot of track meets, which are a lot of fun. We don't see them anymore, but they are fun.
Yeah, because you got to be able to score. You get so many points from.
You mentioned in Palmero. I've been reading a lot of articles lately about the Hall of Fame, and of course Bonds didn't make it, and Roger Clemens didn't make it. Palmero will never make it because he's admitted to steroid use. One of those crazy situations, these guys have put up these amazing numbers, and then David Ortiz goes into the Hall of Fame, and he's an admitted steroid user. So what made Ortiz any different than the rest of these guys?
Oh, that is. I didn't know that.
He failed a PED test while he was playing for the Red Sox, but he goes
see remember me talking about the story I read a couple of months ago where an author looked at the numbers that these baseball players would have been expected to have if they had not been on steroids, just based on historical data. You know, most people, when their career gets past, say, age 35, their numbers go way down for home runs or pitching wins. Mm-hmm. But the exact opposite happened with Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens. Their numbers, they got far better. Barry Bonds hit 70 home runs when he was probably 37 years old. And this guy said that if he had not been juicing on the steroids, he probably would have had about 20 home runs. So I think they make a difference, is my point.
Yeah. Hey, I'll never forget, in like the peak of the steroid era, Brian Meadows was pitching spring training down with the Marlins, and me and a bunch of boys from Troy, a bunch of guys, I guess, we got together, drove in the middle of the night all the way to Melbourne, Florida, to watch the Marlins play the Cardinals. And we were sitting like right behind home plate for a spring training game, and McGuire was on the on-deck circle, and then he got up to bat. McGuire looked like a Mr. Olympus bodybuilder. I mean, I'd never seen a baseball player with that many muscles and that huge. It was crazy how big he got.
Well, you look at the pictures of Barry Bonds before he was using steroids, and then after. I mean, his body completely changed. I mean, it's like his head got bigger. I mean,
same thing with McGuire and Canseco. When they first started playing, they were fit, but they were a thin kind of fit big guys.
Your dad gets nervous when I say this, but you look at the pictures of early Tiger Woods, and then you look at later Tiger Woods, he looks like an NFL safety. And I've always wondered, I'm not the only one, a lot of people have conjectured that he was...
Well, a lot of people said that's led to a lot of injuries, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Sun Belt men...
Everybody's getting bigger and stronger. I was looking at Justin Thomas the other day. He's going to play at Alabama. When he started, he's playing 150 pounds. He's probably about 175, 180, and he's all jacked up now. A lot stronger looking than he used to be.
Well, I'm not making any implications or conjecture. I'm just making an observation, or maybe I am making a suggestion. Talking about Brian Meadows, Andy Murphy and I got press passes to watch him pitch against the Braves one time. So I saw him pitch for the Marlins, and then I saw him pitch against the Braves, and I had a press pass. I was with the Troy Citizen, and I got to go in the Braves dugout before and after games. And I remember seeing Chipper Jones without a shirt on. And you know what my thought was? My gosh, Chipper Jones looks like an NFL tight end or linebacker. And then remember he had that year where he hit a lot of home runs where he hadn't hit them before. So my point, I think just about every dang player in Major League Baseball was doing it. Now I don't know if there was a rule that said you couldn't do it. So they were just
some kind of thing, deer antler, something spray or some crazy thing that also gave you strength or something too. I remember Major League players were accused of. It was like anything you could find to get extra, advantage. People were doing this.
Now I'm going to say something else too. That I'm a contrarian. I say things people don't say. What made Nebraska the great football program that it became?
You got to think something was going on there for sure.
It was their unbelievable offensive lines that just mashed people, and they were just so much bigger and stronger. And they got into weightlifting earlier. But I tell you, I think that I think all these cornbred boys.
Right, they were corn fed, and wasn't that the difference? They always claimed they were corn fed.
Even today, there could be some whistleblowers that could come out and say, here's what was going on.
All it takes is one guy to get in some trouble off the field. Alabama's got a former linebacker out there right now that's, I don't know if the police found or not yet, Trey Freed, that's charged for armed robbery. He was part of, I think, 2 or 3 national championship teams at Alabama. So I don't know if they've arrested him or not yet.
Yeah, I saw that. It's disturbing. some plays.
That's when Alabama had those big physical linebackers. I think the Priest was probably like 6'3", 6'4". They got him from Ohio. He probably weighed about 250 pounds. And then Alabama would play those athletic quarterbacks. They couldn't tackle the guy. They couldn't catch him.
Yeah, you're right. They've gone to a different type of linebacker. I remember to Priest, he was highly touted and had some pretty good early years. But I remember his senior year, though, he really regressed. And I said, something's going on with this kid.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see if Dylan Moses, a year out or 2 years out from that knee injury, he was on Jacksonville Jaguars roster last year, and I think they said he was close to getting ready to play, to see if he'll be able to make an NFL team. Of course, Reuben Foster has never made an NFL team after his knee injury, and of course he had countless off-the-field issues as well, but I always thought Reuben Foster would have made it back. He was like all rookie his, first year with the 49ers.
Yep.
Yeah, Jim Harbaugh has come out and said, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to Michigan. I'll stay here as long as they'll let me. So Harbaugh's staying at Michigan.
Dylan Moses was.
I'm sorry.
I think he played with some injuries his senior year, and he deserves credit for that. But man, if you ever watched film of Alabama his last year and watched him, you would say, why in the world are they playing this guy? I mean, he was awful. He's not watching the show, I hope. He just got buried, and then you said, surely they got to have somebody like this number 42. Somebody's got to be better than that guy, but they kept playing him.
Hey, Michael, does the defensive end that got hurt early, will he be back?
He's already declared. Christopher Allen.
Okay, he's already declared. Okay.
Yeah. Everybody that was injured when they had decided to go to the draft, I think a lot of these guys, they just don't want to risk it anymore. Mm-hmm. They have a good combine. That's what it comes down to. I don't think Mechie or Jameson Williams can even run by the combine. I wouldn't think.
No. But you know what? You can come back from these knee injuries a lot better than you used to.
Yeah, some people come back and it's no issue though, but then some people don't come back.
That's right.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah, you're right. I had one.
Or they're never the same.
I had a bad knee injury in a scrimmage right before the start of our junior year on Memorial Stadium turf. I was covering the punt, and I made a hard cut to get past the guy trying to block me. I was the outside guy, and there went my knee. Well, it turned out I tore up my ACL, my MCL, and cartilage. So I did about everything you could do to a knee. I still wish the doctors would have explained to me that you got a really bad knee injury, son. Well, I rehabbed and had a cast and came back and tried to play my senior year. Well, the dang very first scrimmage of my senior year, I was playing safety then. I was backpedaling and changing direction, trying to come up on the option play and hurt my knee again. Fortunately, it was the same knee. Fortunately, it was just cartilage. And I said, oh, thank God, I don't have to go through this major surgery again.
You had surgery and had to have a cast for an ACL?
That's what they did back then. I had a cast from my toes to my hip for at least 3 months.
Really? That had to be awful.
I did that my senior year. When I was in 8th grade, I got clipped from behind, and they put me in a cast for about 2 months. And he just told me that where everything comes together under my kneecap split. Well, as I've had problems since then, according to X-rays and MRI, it appears that I had a torn ACL. But I was never told that in 1972.
Probably, people can play with it, believe it or not. Yeah. After I hurt, I wonder if I hurt my knee earlier than that punt play. I was blocking David Beasley, who's now the baseball coach at Berry College, and my knee buckled a little when he moved suddenly, and I went and walked it off. I'd never been hurt before, and said, it bothered me for a while. I sat out some series, and then I came back in, and that's when I really, but some people just do not have the ligaments to play the sport of football, and I was one of those people.
Well, you think how they cut, look at Alabama's turf indoors. I mean, I don't see how they
And then there's
don't
also,
tear it.
I would say the majority of knee injuries are non-contact injuries. They're from cutting. Nobody ever really hits your knee. That was me.
Yeah, you really don't see it as much in basketball. Football is usually the main sport.
But it happens in basketball too, though. It happens to girls soccer players. But anyway, getting back to back then they put you in a cast. Dr. Andrews, the most famous sports surgeon in the world, operated on me. And I remember when I got that cast off in November or whenever I did, you all have seen how skinny and atrophied my left leg. To this day, my muscles in my left leg are nowhere near what my right. They never, as much as I rehabbed, they never came back to where the right leg was. But now
we also have big basketball over the weekend. Alabama will host Kentucky. I don't know what Alabama team will show up. Alabama, of course, got blown out by Auburn by 19. Then they beat Baylor by 9. Big game against Kentucky. I don't know what to think of Alabama this weekend. It should be a sellout crowd, though, I would think, at Coleman Coliseum.
Oh, they got them in Tuscaloosa, though?
Yeah.
Auburn goes to Georgia. That shouldn't be a problem.
Well, Kentucky beat Kansas soundly, and I heard some guy on the Feinbaum show that Kentucky is coming together and peaking at just the right time. They've got a lot of transfers and freshman sensations, and sometimes it takes a while for these teams to gel. So Kentucky, although Auburn beat them, Kentucky might be one of the teams that could challenge Auburn for this national title.
Yeah, I think the SEC championship or tournament championship will be up in Nashville, Tennessee.
Great city. I have been.
It was a great city. It's gotten a little too big for me. I used to go up there quite a bit back in the day because I lived in Birmingham for about 17 years. But man, last time I went to Nashville, boy, it was crazy.
You know that you're right. I went. Only time I've been, we went to not listen to the country music, but to listen to one of my favorite musical performers, Billy Joel, had a concert at that Bridgestone Arena in downtown Nashville, and that was my takeaway too. It's just that there were just people everywhere. You went in these honky tonks or you tried to go listen to some country bands on that main drag in Nashville, and they were just all too many people for me, too packed.
Yeah,
what about the groundhog? Did the groundhog see a shadow yesterday? Do we have
I have no idea. I have no idea. I don't think it was on the front page of the Dothan Eagle. I don't know. But the Final Four in basketball is going to be in New Orleans.
He's a shadow.
That means we got 6 more weeks of winter.
Yeah.
You know, New Orleans will host the Final Four this year. Then next year to be in Houston. Then Phoenix in 2024. San Antonio, Texas 2025. And Indianapolis, Indiana in 2026. So New Orleans, the Final Four.
In the Superdome.
In the Caesars Superdome.
It's the Caesars Superdome, though?
They were doing work on the casino when I was down there. We went to a wedding the first week of January, and they were, I guess, hammering those pylons in. So, I mean, you literally would walk every 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 blocks, and it was just that repeating noise of the pylons being drilled into the ground. And I mean, the Harris Casino there was already a show place, huge casino. But with Caesars adding on additional, I can't remember what the guy told me, almost 100,000 feet or something. I mean, I can't imagine how huge that's going to be in New Orleans.
We need to talk about this.
First weekend in April.
It's the Caesars Superdome.
Caesars.
Well, it's casinos. It's gambling. And do you see all the ads and the shows now openly promoting and talking about gambling? It's everywhere. Everywhere in America. It's huge. And that changed, what would you say, in about 2 or 3 years, it went from a huge crime, you know, you're the mafia if you allow people to bet, to the most endorsed thing, which is not surprising to understand because the government they're getting the cut of everybody that loses but gambles. The government's skimming 10% of it off, so it's a money maker for the government. But, you know, that's worth commenting on, in my opinion. just Alabama. Michael, you probably heard the same thing. And Forrest, you have too. That there's more action put on college football in the state of Alabama than any nation in the country. It's always been that way. But Alabama still doesn't have legal sports gambling. That's coming.
But I mean, from Mobile, Alabama to Biloxi, it's like 45 miles. I can't imagine how many people from that area of the state of Alabama drive over to Biloxi during the week, on weekends. It's amazing how much money goes into the state of Mississippi from Alabama.
Yeah, right. Well, it's almost like the lottery, you know, that keeps coming back up. And I say, well, at this point, why do you even do it? Because, you know, it used to be it was smart for other states to do it because half the people playing their lottery came from another state. So you were really stealing milk money from other people. Well, now every state around Alabama has the lottery. So if you had the lottery, the only people that are going to be playing it are your own citizens. Nobody from Tennessee or Georgia is going to drive into Alabama to play the lottery.
No.
But we're going to get here. I love to make predictions. We're going to get the lottery. We're going to get sports gambling. They're going to one day, even in Alabama, it'll be last, but they're going to legalize marijuana sales like they have in 20 states. And you say, well, why are they going to do all those things? Well, who needs the money? The government needs money sources without taxing the people, and they can get it from taxing marijuana and gambling. So they're going to do it.
Hey.
We're coming up on 8 o'clock. Can we take a mileage tea break?
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short break and stay tuned. We'll be right back with Today in L.A. with Mike Amos. We're still
right here, right now. It's the Premier Super Truck Sale. 1,500, 2,500, 3,500, and even a 4,500. Ram, Ford, Chevy, GMC. Over 55 trucks. Super Truck Sale price. Save up to $10,000 on select models. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
Shipping Wars is back and bigger than ever.
More work, more money.
These shippers have a long road ahead. Who will come out on top?
If we can get it there on time, we'll make some good money.
Shipping Wars. New episodes Tuesdays at 10. Only on A&E.
In the market for a new or pre-owned vehicle? We've got what you're looking for.
So come see us at Bill Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC in Troy, and you too can experience the Jackson satisfaction.
Bill Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC.
The Walmart Distribution Center in Brundage is now hiring. We've extended our $2,000 signing bonus until the end of January 2022. And you can go back to school with our Live Better You program. Apply online today.
At Cost Plus 10%, we offer your favorite brands at the best price. At Piggly Wiggly, we keep it simple. We price our products at cost, then add 10% at checkout. We carry all your favorite name brand foods, and we accept manufacturer coupons. Find us on Facebook and see our weekly specials.
Right here, right now, it's the Premier Super Truck Sale. 1,500, 2,500, 3,500, and even a 4,500. Ram, Ford, Chevy, GMC. Over 55 trucks. Super Truck Sale price. Save up to $10,000 on select models. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
Really came from I was telling a story, but I can't tell the air to Forrest.
Well, here's, we were talking about basketball earlier. I want to make this mention. The first and second rounds, listen to the locations of the first and second rounds. That means if Auburn's the number one seed, they're going to be probably close to Auburn University.
Right.
In the South. But here's where they're at.
Okay.
First and second round, Buffalo, New York, Indianapolis, Fort Worth, Texas, Portland, Oregon, Greenville, South Carolina, Milwaukee, Pittsburgh, and San Diego.
Gosh, none of them are close to the...
Except South Carolina. That's the first and second round.
Uh-huh.
Now, here are the regionals. San Antonio, San Francisco, Chicago, and Philadelphia.
Oh, my gosh, Forrest, good catch. That's terrible.
I mean...
Well, no Atlanta, no Nashville, no New Orleans, no Birmingham, no... Orlando?
Yeah, you would have to think with the new BJCC improvements, they totally have renovated the arena that they'll start building to get NCAA games again.
Well, there's nothing in Atlanta.
Charlotte? I mean,
No.
I will say Greenville, South Carolina from Birmingham is 4 hours because I made the drive with Dad one night to watch Troy and Duke about 5-6 years ago in the NCAA tournament, and we drove all the way back. But,
So that's where Auburn should be.
So from Auburn, that would be probably about 5 hours, I guess.
So that's, you think that's where Auburn, if they're the number 1 seed, will they get placed there, you think?
They should.
You would think so. It's a beautiful arena. Greenville, South Carolina is an awesome town, actually. I was impressed with it.
I want to watch the attendance at these first 2 round games. I say they ain't going to be that great. With inflation and people going and maxing out their credit cards after Christmas, the fans are not going to travel, 10 hours or fly to go to these basketball games.
Now, we'll say this, next year.
Everybody's going to get their tax money back by then, though, right? So they'll do anything.
All right, Michael, next year, here they've got it set for next year, first and second round. Albany, New York, Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, okay.
Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, that's great. I remember Birmingham back in the day having those tournament games. It was a lot of fun.
Columbus, Ohio, Denver, Des Moines, Iowa, Greensboro, North Carolina.
You're on today in L.A.
Orlando, Florida, and California. So that gets better next year.
This is Mike
Hey.
From the great state of South Carolina, Charleston.
How is everybody?
Oh, everybody's fine, and I was, we were up late last night. Of course, we are here, this beautiful city, probably one of the prettiest cities in the country.
Oh, I've never been, but I want to go.
Definitely one of the oldest in the country.
And then the water is just gorgeous, and it's just a great town. And of course, I'm here to be with my brother, who's not very good, but he's fighting everybody he can to get better. So we hope he will.
Charleston, South Carolina was founded in 1670.
All right, everybody. I'm not pushing anybody off the board, am I?
No, we got Forrest here, and we got Michael. I think we've just had some fun topics. We were, right before you called, we were talking about where all these basketball regionals will be played, and Forrest had some great information that showed that hardly any of them are anywhere near the South in the first couple rounds. So if Auburn does like we think they can, their fans, the closest would be Greenville, South Carolina, that Auburn could play.
Well, I'm not going to say we all very long. Max Howell's going to probably be calling in this morning too, and somebody's calling in trying to get on board with us now. But I just want to tell you everything's going great up here. Hopefully my brother will get better, and this is my older brother. I have a brother that's 12 years older than me, and then Joel, my middle brother, is 3 years older than me.
Michael, what's your brother's name there in Carolina?
Bill Amos. Bill Amos.
Bill.
Yeah.
Well, Bill, we're thinking about you, and
he was a good-looking one up in our group.
We're thinking and praying for Bill Amos, and we're glad that all the brothers are together up there visiting with each other.
Yeah, and I do appreciate it, and I'm going to let y'all go, and y'all have a good day and a good week, and I know you'll do a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. So Mike made it to Charleston.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I would not have known that.
What about the Trojan Sports Hall of Fame personality and supporter Mike Amos?
I can't believe it. I told him the other day at breakfast, I said, why aren't you in there? And he was embarrassed and said, no, I don't deserve to be in there. But there should be a spot for the greatest booster of the sports programs over the last 40 years.
Well, he got several years ago the Trojan Award, which is given by Chancellor Hawkins, which is one of the biggest awards you can get as a Troy University alumni. And Dad was alumni a year as well. I mean, he's gotten a lot of stuff over the years. I mean, I would love to see it, but there's also a lot of great former athletes and players we can't get in as well. So
that's great.
I'm sure Dad would rather those guys go in before him.
Yeah, I've talked about a couple of them, like Kelvin Simmons, the quarterback for Coach Blakeney's greatest quarterback, that was like almost unbeatable. Carl Hollis was one of the best basketball players ever to play at Troy University. He's not in it yet, so I'm sure they will be, but we need to go ahead and, you're right, get some more people in there too.
Hey, one thing this week.
Dad's brother Bill Amos is retired military. He's been living in Charleston ever since he retired. Him and his wife both were full-time military, and Uncle Bill is, I think, 86, 87 years old. Pretty crazy when you have a brother 12 years older than you.
It happens.
Hey, I survived the polar bear plunge last Saturday. I didn't dive. I walked in and then submerged myself. It was pretty cold, but I did it.
Did you take off your shirt, or did you go over to?
No, I just left my shirt on. And,
yeah, there's something about kids and water. You know, we go on the beach. We live down here full time. My girls always want to go get in the water, no matter how cold it is. But I notice when people still come down to visit, it doesn't matter if it's February, January, they're still trying to get in the water. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Hey, is the water as dangerous this time of year? In other words, are the flags, do they still throw the flags up, or is it more choppy?
Oh, yeah. They still have red flags and still red flag. And they don't have the full-time lifeguards this time of year like normal. But, yeah, they definitely put up flags every day.
Are the crowds bad right now? I mean, is it?
No.
Okay.
This is the perfect time to come, actually. It's very quiet. You know, I rode along the Forgotten Coast yesterday. I went through Mexico Beach, and then Fort St. Joe is a really cool little beach, little town, too. Some old lighthouses and real pretty houses. But everywhere I went yesterday was just completely dead. And I will say, I don't know if the snowbirds are going farther south than normal, but I hadn't seen near as many snowbirds down here as normal.
Interesting. We used to see a lot from Canada, and I'm sure you still do, because Dad had the BP and Gulf Station right next to the Holiday Inn, and you know, some people might remember he had 3 flagpoles, and he would always fly the flags of the snowbirds that were passing by to help them say, hey, let's go. So he'd fly a Canadian flag or state flags, you know, of people that were going through. But speaking of the Canadian flag, I want to get me a Canadian flag so I can support the Canadian truckers who are who are doing this protest about the mandates, and show my symbolic support to those freedom fighters up there in Canada.
And what is on the Canadian flag?
The maple leaf?
The maple leaf. That's correct.
I love their national anthem. Oh, Canada.
Hey, one thing this weekend, too, locally, you know, Troy University has a good Greek system, a great Greek system, and the Alpha Gamma Delta sorority was going to celebrate their 50th anniversary last year, but COVID put a halt to it. But there'll be a swarm of squirrels coming in this weekend for the 51st anniversary of Alpha Gamma Delta here at Troy University.
At Troy University. I wonder what the first sororities to be, what would they call it, authorized were.
Probably Alpha Delta Pi, Kappa Delta, I think were early.
Chi?
Then, no, Chi Omega came in 1977 when Sigma Chi came. But I think KD, Phi Mu, F, AD Pi.
Phi Mu's were big, yeah.
And then Alpha Gamma, those probably were the first 4. But when I was here, you had KD, Chi Omega, Alpha Gamma Delta, AD Pi, Phi Mu. Then they've added AL Pi.
They didn't even have sorority houses when I was in college at Troy. I mean, I didn't start until '94, but they're all at Pace.
Yeah,
right.
They're all their chapter rooms are at Pace. Is that right?
Yes,
that's right. No.
And those houses, I think, when they drew those houses at where the children's home was, they drew straws, and you drew a number, and whoever drew first, if they got a house number 1, hey, if Kyle Megan's got their house, that's how they determined that.
That's the way to do it.
Some houses, I think, will sleep or house about 20 girls, some 15, some 12. Probably Chi Omega and Kappa Delta have the biggest houses just by draw. That's a perfect location. It's a circle.
That was a big deal.
I've always wondered how old some of those houses were there. When did the Baptist Children's Home start there? Some of those houses have got to be from like the 40s, aren't they?
I don't know.
Well, I can tell you when they moved to Troy, it was in the 20s. It's in Dad's history, but
they might even be older than that.
You know, probably so. I don't. You're right. I don't know when they built all those buildings, but you know, if they moved to Troy, I guess they started building those buildings pretty soon. So some of them might go back to the 20s and certainly the 30s.
Yeah, I don't want to kick the ROTC program out, but that big building right there is where the ROTC is housed. If they renovated that into some type of canteen or a restaurant type thing for the girls, breakfast, lunch, supper, then the campus would control that. But that'd kind of be a neat place where they could walk over there and eat.
At Alabama, they have moved a lot of the sorority houses a block or so away. And they were fine sorority houses before, but these are real mansions they built in the last 10 years.
Yeah, Alpengam at Alabama's house. My mother-in-law's Alpengam, and I went out on the porch or deck, and I think it was Miss Joan Beard deck. Mrs. Beard gave money to Alpengam. She was Alpengam at Alabama, and I want to say it was in her memory.
Well, good, yay. And, I guess all her daughters were Alpengams at Alabama?
Yeah, Stephanie, Carmen, and Stacy were all Alpengams.
Well, let me go ahead and say it.
Well, and your sister is the president of the Alpengams at Auburn, right?
Yeah, Camille was president of Alpengam at Auburn, and she loved every minute of it.
That's a huge job. That's a huge job. She probably had 150 members, and she was in. And it's a multi-$100,000 operation.
You know the sororities.
Yeah, it was never hard for me to get a date when I went to Auburn on weekends from Troy.
Yeah, the number of members here at Troy University, each sorority has about 140 to 170 active members.
Really?
Each sorority here at Troy.
Well, they need some more then. That's good.
And I will say this: 1982, I was the sweetheart of Alpha Gamma Delta.
Are you really?
Yeah, I just had to say it. But anyway, my wife's an 80 Pi from Georgia Southern, and Abby's a Phi Mu here at Troy, or was a Phi Mu at Troy.
Well, the fraternities have changed. You've had fraternities that are big, and the big fraternities on campus for 2 decades or more, and then they suddenly go away. And then new fraternities come. I've heard that they're trying to get the SAEs back. Are the Pi Kappa Phi's still?
Yeah, they're here. Pi Kappa Phi's here.
You
remember North 3-Knot Street was Fraternity Row back then. And when I was a kid, I can remember the Pi Kappa House, Pi Kappa Phi, Delta Chi, Theta Chi, the big St. Bernard that I'd see in the Palladium.
The Delta Chi were the big, in the 70s for sure, were the big popular fraternity. Talking about the Phi Gam house, now what is it, the other fraternity that was out there? Well, it's just been raised.
The Deke house.
No, not the Deke house. Well, it has two.
The Pi Kappa Phi house burnt down.
The Pi Kappa Phi house that burned down is now under the bulldozer, and you can go right there today and see a bunch of big mountain of brick, and they're trying to say goodbye.
I think they're salvaging some of that, though. Those columns are like granite or something like that. But when we became a colony in 1975, Sigma Chi, we had the first house on campus on Farmer Street, right by C.F. Rowland and Miss Edna Rowland, Jim Rowland's parents. Our fraternity house was right beside it, but it's gone now. It's got some.
C.F. Rowland lived 3 doors up from me on South Hillcrest Boulevard.
It wasn't C.F. It was Mr. Ms. Rowland was a school teacher.
Yeah, it must have been Jimmy Rowland's.
Jimmy
His mom, WTBF Jim Rowland.
Yeah. But
I still enjoy that. You hear the commercials on WTBF, and a lot of them still have Jim Rowland voicing them, and he had the greatest voice.
Asa Dudley, Pappy Talbot,
Ralph Black,
baritones, and WTBF 970 AM.
I hope that continues because it's a way for us to remember these great Trojans. But fraternities and sororities are important. They need to have nice houses and big houses because these kids tend to get more involved in campus life, and they probably have better experiences. So I'm a big supporter of the Greek system, although I don't think you need to be in the Greek system. But it can be real important for a college. And you know who got the Greek system going at Troy University?
Was it Ralph W. Adams?
Another one of the big changes that Ralph Adams made. Yep.
That was early 70s, I believe. And
he got the Greek system going. He changed the nickname from the Red Wave to the Trojans. He brought Coach Billy Atkins in as football coach that completely changed the sports program and how it was viewed.
Now let's talk about Robert Earl Stewart. I could listen to him talk all day long about economics. Was he the athletic director at that time?
He was when I was
Yeah,
growing
but,
up.
but he was not a proponent of moving up to Division One.
Okay.
So that was one thing that had to change for us to go 1AA to then Division One. So.
Well, he was still a good athletic director, great athletic director. Because the championships and look at when he was athletic director. It was the heyday of Chase Riddle,
Mike Griffin,
Larry Blakeney. Well, before Larry Blakeney, it was Chan Gailey and Coach Rhodes and a couple of national championships.
When Blakeney got hired, actually Red Williams was interim athletic director. I remember.
Who brought?
It was one of those situations where
I
guess there was a transition, and then Johnny Williams became the athletic director after Red Williams.
Oh, that was a kingpin.
That was. People forget how controversial that move was.
It was huge. Yeah.
And I can understand people that took the other position. You'll never disparage somebody else's sincere argument. It was a fair debate. I think most people now would say that they got it right. History says that, and it's really for branding reasons and marketing reasons for your college, that you have so much more brand awareness and perceived panache and prestige by being Division One. And then Troy did it at a time where it was easier and less expensive to do. Although, Jack State considered it forever, and I just thought that they couldn't come up with the money to do it, and then all of a sudden they're now doing it in football, so maybe you can still do it.
Well, if you want to increase...
Jacksonville State had the facilities. The facilities are through the roof at Jacksonville State for a 1AA program. They were already like a 27,000, 28,000 seat stadium, and then they had a basketball arena that had about 7,000. Their facilities are really nice.
Is their football stadium is 27,000 people? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, it's a huge stadium. Yeah, Johnny Williams involved in the renovation of their football stadium as well, and they have I don't know if you've ever seen it on television, but it looks a lot bigger than that because they've got all these dorms that surround the stadium now, and like their athletic department complex is in one of the end zones. So, it's a big time looking stadium. Got to look at pictures right now to get a chance.
I will.
One thing about Senior Bowl practice, I've been watching practice, and it's on the NFL Network, and they're at South Alabama Stadium now, which is a beautiful stadium. I think it only holds like 26,000. You and Dad went to a game there, didn't you?
Yeah, it was beautiful.
But that's great exposure, for South Alabama, for them to move that game and their practices over there from Ladd Stadium, which is something that probably needs to be exploded.
That stadium is like Legion Field. But I think, didn't somebody say that they're going to use Legion Field for this USFL thing they're rolling out in Birmingham?
I am shocked to see how this is going to work. Well, all the teams practicing in Birmingham, all the teams living in Birmingham, all the coaches living in Birmingham, even though they represent other cities, how in the world are they going to have? I know how Birmingham works more than anybody. I lived there for 17 years, and they get behind, like, maybe the hometown team. I can see a decent crowd every once in a while, but some of these other games, who's going to be there?
Nobody here. I agree with Mike. It's very strange, isn't it? But it's outside the box for sure. Let's see.
In the season between...
I would have put it somewhere down like in Orlando or something, where there's like all these people traveling on vacation, and you got Disney World and all these theme parks, and you got all these, snowbirds and tourists and stuff. I would have put it in a lot bigger tourist place than Birmingham, Alabama.
Is it like an 8-game schedule from February till April?
Yeah. It's going to be absolutely crazy. I am just shocked that Birmingham was the choice for this.
I know. It's it's a strange bird. We shall see. All of these leagues that have tried to do it and do another football league, none of them have succeeded. I mean, probably would you say?
And then you've got Fox television covering all these games. So I mean, everybody's going to see all these empty seats.
I guess now that people have become conditioned that they don't even care. I used to get upset when, like, you'd watch a Blue-Gray game and you'd be real worried that, I don't want to embarrass Montgomery with a poor crowd at the stadium. Well, now, after the COVID era, people are just completely used to seeing games and bowl games with, 90% of the stadium empty. So I guess it doesn't matter like it used to.
It's like when Auburn rode in to play Missouri in basketball. Was the arena full when Auburn played Missouri?
Was it?
It was a close game. It just didn't look like it was as full as what Auburn's and Alabama's and Kentucky's. I don't know.
Yeah, that means that these.
I feel like what's happened now is everybody's had COVID, and nobody cares anymore now. Everybody's going back out and getting out, and not wearing masks or anything. Shoot, Omicron. I think everybody I know down here's had it or still has it. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those type of things. I think everybody's just kind of done with it.
Well, I had COVID for the second time. They never told me it was Omicron. I was told, if you sent it off to figure out which label it was, you'd be over it in 10 days. The time it gets back. But anyway, there was one night before I got tested, had a headache, chills. I said, I'm gonna get up and go get tested, because the next Monday we were scheduled to go back to school because Pike Liberal Arts delayed school for 1 week. Well, I went in that Saturday morning, positive.
You've been vaccinated, right?
Yes. And so Jody got her booster shot yesterday. She tested negative 2 or 3 times during that time frame that I was out. She had to stay at home too with the health department, and that counted against her time, her leave. And but anyway,
we just got through it too. I mean, my wife and the only reason we even tested our girls is because 2 teachers came down with it. So the girls got it, and then my wife got it about 4 days later, and then I got it about 4 days later after my wife. About 9 days after my girls got it, and we were both tested. We tested on Sunday. We were both negative now, but I mean, it's just one of those type of things. I didn't even have that. I mean, I had a light headache and fatigue for like 2 days, and that was it. So I don't know what people. A lot of people are getting really bad, like flu-like symptoms. There's like a COVID flu, I guess.
There's way too much testing as far as I'm concerned, and somebody made a salient point, in my opinion. He said, when you come down with the sniffles or a cold, do you run out and get tested for the cold? No. Well, this is basically what you're getting for most people. When you get a little sniffles or cold, you probably work through it, or maybe if it's a bad cold, you stay at home until you don't have a cold and don't have the symptoms.
Or until you don't have a fever.
That's right. I mean,
all I know is I hope I can write off these $100 worth of tests I bought.
I swear. I mean, I wasn't going to say anything, but
10 tests. That's $100 I bought.
I wasn't going to say anything, Michael, but when you've been telling all these stories, I've been adding up in my head. There's $11, there's $11, there's $11. The money spent on testing is billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars.
I'm probably going to win that on Troy tonight, though, when I bump Troy up to +8.
You're going to get your testing money back. All right, good.
I don't know if I should have said that on TV or not, but I'll probably win it back tonight.
Well, and then if you test positive, what are they going to tell you? They're going to say, "Well, go home and drink some Gatorade."
And I guess y'all talked a lot about Pike Liberal Arts moving to the Alabama High School Athletic Association.
But you work at Pike Liberal Arts. You tell us.
Well,
how it's going over.
Here's some things from my point of view. They're in the final stages of that application. Wait for the final approval when that probably will come, maybe in April. But here are some positive things that I want to point out. One, academics I think will be improved because there'll be less kids checking out to go to games. You can keep your kids in class to the end of school at 3 o'clock, because usually what happens if you play away, the JV boys or JV girls have to leave first. then the varsity girls, then the varsity boys, and they go in vehicles as they go. Well,
and the parents got to take them and get off their jobs.
So by playing local, you can get home at a decent hour. Well, in that aspect, if you're playing local schools, then your parents, when they get off work, hey, they can go, grandmother can go, aunt and uncle can go watch you play at within a 40-mile radius of all the schools that are here.
Easy drive.
1, 2A, 3A. And my guess, Pike Liberal Arts would probably be 2A.
That's what they say.
The level of play will increase. The exposure will increase. Right now, to win the state championship in basketball, you got to be the best out of 11 schools. Well, when you move to the Alabama High School Athletic Association, for example, 2A basketball, you got to be the best out of about 60 or 65 teams. Mm-hmm. So that increases. Your exposure increases.
Your revenue is going to, ticket revenue is going to increase.
That should increase. So when you play locally, your travel time will decrease. I already mentioned families and parents can see their children play. And again, you can play multiple schools within a 40 to 50 mile radius in your sports.
The branding for your school is going to, I just talked about branding in this Troy University context of going Division I. Well, it's the same for Pike Liberal Arts. They're going to have more exposure in our area and the state by playing in the AHSA. Those are great reasons, and those reasons must all carry the day because it passed unanimously, right?
Well, the final approval by the Alabama High School Athletic Association has not been approved.
But the board approved it unanimously and said, let's do it.
All right. Here's one aspect I want to mention, and I'm not privy to all the details, and I'm not the expert, but in football, the next 2 years, the Alabama High School Athletic Association has set all the regions and the classifications, all the areas. So you won't be able to play many schools in this area in football because they've already been set. Okay. So the third year, then you would be in an area and then be able to play. Now for the sport of volleyball, that's still a possibility, but basketball, baseball, and other sports, you should be able to be in an area locally and play locally.
That's what Billy Hickson called us and gave us a lot of good commentary. Yeah. And he said, that's what he said, is that football might be a little, not as ideal for the next 2 years, but all the other sports right away, you can schedule anybody you want and compete for state championships.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're going to have to play. You're going to have to travel the next 2 years in football, but the benefits, and if you look at it, the Alabama Independent School Association, as far as athletic competition, is doing this. There's less schools playing. Some schools are closing.
I'm worried about
now,
that.
all the schools who have made the transition, Faith Academy, Mobile Christian, who used to play AISA, they didn't come back to the Alabama Independent School Association. They are staying in the Alabama High School.
So they must have thought it was beneficial.
Well, it's say Luverne, Crenshaw Christian Academy, private school, and they can play Pike Liberal Arts, but they're such a small school, so come on the athletic field, Crenshaw can and has beaten Pike Liberal Arts in the past, but year in, year out,
it's going to be an uphill battle.
So my guess in the Alabama Independent School Association, instead of having 3 classifications, A, AA, AAA, you're probably going to go to Class A, Class AA. And I don't know anything about that, but, those are the positive things that I just wanted to mention.
I'm a big fan of the AISA and their tradition and all the great people in that organization, but they got to be hanging on by a thread right now.
We got to wrap it up.
All right, well, Steve is telling us that we're expanded or used up all of our time. It went by quickly. We had fun. I hope you enjoyed watching this. If you missed it, all of the show, you can also watch it at 1:30. It's replayed. And then I hope you'll join us tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. So everybody have a great and safe day.
For Today in LA.